Hi. Today I wanted to make a snow effect tutorial. What we're going to end up doing is making a spawner that will spawn snowflakes on the top of the uh, 0 position on the y-axis. So about -2, -3, so it'll be just out of the screen. And then when it falls, we're going to play with it a bit and give it a % chance to be affected by wind. And we're going to get a couple different depths, so we're going to create a couple different objects for the snowflake. The first thing we want to do is we want a snowflake for the middle, if it has a middle depth. So why don't we, whoops, actually I want to adjust this down to 16 by 16. And we'll create our little snowflake, which is just a circle. I'm going to actually make that white. Or that'll be our little snowflake. So let's do I want to keep it in this, or do I want to make separate ones? I'll keep it in this. Oops. And then we want one more, but we're actually going to delete this and just spray it on. Oops. That's too much. That should be about good. But the only thing I want to do now is I don't want to do that. I think what I'd rather do is just take a couple layers off, like this. So I took 3, I have to take 3, and that's a third. Alright. And this will be for our different depths. So this will be the closest depth, this will be the middle depth, and the farthest away. And I think that should work pretty well. I might end up having to make it a little bit smaller, the last one. Object snowflake, depth, let's go with -1. We'll create that one first. Create. That's -1. And now we will set its image, or its sprite index equal to sprite snowflake. Then we will set the image index equal to 2, which should be our, oh no, we actually don't want it for -1, we want it for regular 1. Because that's the farthest away. 1 is far away from you, -1 is closer towards you. So if we're using that, we want that image index, and we want the image speed to be 0, because we just want it to stay on that image that we've selected. We're just going to copy this Control C. And we're going to get out of that object. We're going to create another object called object Snowflake D0, which is the middle one. So in our create event, we're going to set the image index to 1. No, to 0. I had to remember where we put it, but it is 0 is the right one. It was the first one. We did it kind of wacky. We did 0, then the one closest, and the one farthest away. Image speed is the same, everything the same except for image index, which we swapped to 0. And we actually don't want to do that. We don't want to select that sprite like we did there. So if you followed me doing that, unselect that. And then we're going to create a object Snowflake. Whoops. D and 1, which will have a depth of -1. And in our create event, we will copy and paste our code and put it to 1, the image index to 1. Now, what we should probably do, since they're all going to be using the same movement, but I just wanted them to have different depths, we should probably create a script for the movement. Because it's all going to be the same movement, it's just going to be slightly, it's just going to be a different image, and the depth is going to be different. We'll do that in a second. Let's create the background. Let's just get that done with. The rooms default to, well, at least mine do, to 1024. I'm not sure what if there's a setting in there to change it, and it may be changed in mine or yours, but the default for mine is 1024 by 768. And the only reason I'm doing that is because I don't want to mess around with anything else. I'm just putting a black screen. I could have just tiled it, and yeah, I could have. I didn't. I'm not sure. Well, actually, you know what? I think actually if you tile it, it might save memory, but it doesn't matter right now. Because later on, if I wanted to draw something here, I could then draw it and have it exactly where I wanted it, which I like better than tile sets anyway. So we have that. I wanted to create a fence too, because I thought that would kind of look cool. You know what I mean? Like if we had a fence that had a depth of the same depth as one of them, and we're actually going to set, I think, this depth to 0, and we're going to set the other two to -1 and -2, which will affect their values but not the names. I should change the names. I'll change the names too. 64 height, right? Fence is like this. And what I want to try is doing, you know how like the end of that one movie, you see it every once in a while. I've only ever seen the end of it, dude. And it's upsetting me that I've never seen the full movie. Like, I don't know if Bruce Willis was in the movie at all, or if he was just the last scene, like the silhouette. But he gets in there and he like blows his brains out with a gun, I think, which is horrible content, I guess, to talk about. But I've only ever seen that one piece, and what happens is they have like snow falling around it, and it's like I don't know if you call it a silhouette. That might be what you call it. It might not be. I'm not really sure. And I'm going to change this just a bit. I'm going to drag this over to here. This over to here. and that's good. But yeah, it's a pretty cool scene. It's whatever it is, like it's almost like construction paper, it looks like, but it's like an animation and you don't actually see details, but you do. It's weird. It's hard to describe. I'm not good at describing the effect, but hopefully we'll be good at creating it. So that's our fence, and we're gonna want to make a couple of those, or do I just want to do this? Transform. This is the easiest way, honestly. 1024, and then I'll just do this. Copy, paste. I get right here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to back out. Copy and paste. And unfortunately, I have to remove this first. Oh, that's why. And this way we'll just have a very simple fence that we'll just put all the way across the bottom. So now we have our fence, and we'll center it. Such a high middle number, 512. So create our room. Let's create our fence. Object fence. We have that at 0, so we need to remember to change those to just slightly down one. Object fence, and in the create, we're just going to do code. And actually, what was our height? It was 64. Alright. So 32 is what we'll end up using. X equals room width divided by 2. This will center it. Then we'll set our Y to room height. Then we're going to minus 32. And this way our fence isn't going to hit exactly the ground, because if you remember that there's a little bit in the sprite, but it's going to leave a little bit of room on the ground, and then it's going to have the fence above that, like just a tiny gap on the bottom, then the fence. Alright, and that's because we centered it, and because it was 64 and centered, that means it's at 32. So when we put it at 32, it draws it centered, and that's why it's doing what it's doing. But we can then just throw it in the room and make sure it is doing what we want it to do.
What's up?
1 second, let me mute my raid call. 1 second. I was telling him 1 second. Alright, so we have our fence drawn there, and like I was saying, there's that little gap, which is cool, which means if we wanted to even raise it a little bit, we could, and we could put maybe dirt or something, but we wouldn't have it actually look like dirt. It would just be a solid color to match what we're going for here. Although it should be bigger, so I'm going to change the Y scale on it. Image Y scale equals 2. Now let's see what that looks like. That should be double the height. And I'm not sure if the stretch is going to really mess it up when it's... No, it looks alright. The top part now is a bit fat though. So we're going to want to... Actually, I kind of dig it like that. That's alright. Alright, we'll use that. Cool. So we're going to do this and set this to -1. It could be 0, but it would be fighting with the fence as to whether it's in front or behind it. And actually, it's 2. We're just going to set it to 2. And this should have been set to 1. This should then be -1, and that's at 0. Alright. So D1 is now D2. D0 is now D1. DN1 stays DN1. Okay, so now we need to make our spawner. Object. Make it snow. No, you know what's a better name? Let it snow. So what we're going to want to do is, once we have our spawner in here, we're going to want to choose. We're going to choose one of these objects, which holds one of these images. Once we choose an object, we want to spawn it above the visible area. So in the step event, we're going to add a piece of code. Excuse me, I took a drink. But what we're going to do is we want it to spawn those. So I think we want to run the script in there. We just want to tell this to spawn every so often. But we also want to choose. So let's do... randomize. And this makes sure that every time it's choosing, it chooses a different value. So let's choose type equals random, and I need to look at the documentation real quick because I need to make sure that it returns the right value. So it returns between 0 and 0.499 if I were to use 5, which means that if I had 5 pieces, it would only ever return 0 through 4 after I floored them. So I would want to make it 6 if I had 5 and then floor it. Alright. So type random, and we have 3. So let's do 4. Because we have 3 image types, the image index. Oh, that's not right. What am I thinking there? Putting that there. Anyway, switch. And we're going to do that on type. But actually, floored type. Or floor and then type. So now we say we want a value between 0 and 3.99, then we're telling it with floor that we want the value to be a whole number. So it's going to floor it. If it's above, like, if it's 3.01, it'll be 3. If it's 3.99, it'll be 3. It's flooring it. It's bringing it to the most nearest whole number beneath it. If that makes sense. So our first case would be case 0, in which case we'd want to actually, we'd actually want this one, 3, because we have 3 objects. We'd want 0, 1, 2, and this would give us 0 to 2.99, so 0, 1, 2. Object Snowflake D2, and instance create. I did that out of order, but instance create object Snowflake D2, and we want it to give it the X position of, we want to give it a random X position. So let's also get an X pos equals random room width. So that'll give us a random number that's up to 1 less than the total room width. So maybe I should just do +1 then to make it the room width. And actually, because it's going to be drifting this way, maybe I should make it like +50. And that way it can come from even farther to the right and then drift in at the very end, if that makes sense. And it's got to be bigger than that even. I'm going to go up to 300 bigger. For now, that'll let us know. We'll see, and we can adjust it. If it looks like it's might be too much, if we see it like right here and all the way down here, then it could be too much, and we'd have to adjust this number. But for right now, our case 0. So if we got the first one, we want to create the object Snowflake D2, and then we want to break case 1. And let's just copy and paste this down here. And let's copy and paste one more time. And we'll set this to 2. And this will be N1, DN1, D1. So it's going to create these about the same amount of times. It's going to create one of these, and it might create like 5 of these in a row, but then the chances are it's going to create 5 of one of these other ones and another 5. But more realistic, it's more like it's going to create this 2 or 3 times in a row, then it'll create 1 or 2 of these, then 2 or 3 of these, 1 of these, 2 or 3 of these, 2 or 3 of these, 4 of these. You see what I'm saying? So it sort of evens out over time. But it's just going to create the different ones, and what these are telling it is the depth. So now that we have that, and what we actually forgot to do is give it an X and Y, which is X position is what we wanted for the random, but then I got sidetracked. So let's get that, and then Y would be, let's do -15, because that's all it really has to be. Is about -15 right above the, let's say this is the game, like about here, and then it'll come in. So we'll just copy and paste this here and here. And now we have our piece that will create the snow. Now we want to make it actually move. And I think the way we're going to do that is we're going to create a script that script get snowflake movement. And so when it first spawns, direction equals, and we're gonna have to go into the create and just do spawn x equals x, spawn y. I'm not sure if we'll need the y yet, but I'm just gonna add it just in case for right now. Where's this? We actually don't need the y, I don't believe. But we'll do speed equals, and this is a speed we want it to fall at, and we probably want a different speed for each piece. So let's create another little piece, randomize, and let's create the speed equal to SPD equals random, and let's do point. Actually, let's do 8. Random of 8. No, 5 would probably be best. And then let's have a flat value of 5 plus 5. So it'll roll a random one, and it'll be a different speed of up to about 5. Well, a 4.99 difference. Speed equals speed. Direction equals point direction x, y, and do we want this in our... Yeah, we do. We want it in our step. Point direction x, y, and then we want that spawn x minus, and let's do a random value between 30 and 50. So let's do RV, random value for x equals random 20 plus a flat 30. So it'll automatically move 30 left, but now you know what I should do? If not windy, else we want it to move speed equals, actually let's use a different one for this. Step count or time wind equals, or plus equals 1. No, let's do negative equals 1, and we'll set it to 0. Oh my god, I'm having so much trouble with this. Like, I'd already set my hands up, then I forgot what keys I was at. Alright, so time wind negative equals 1. If time wind equals, let's say 30. Let's give it, well actually let's give it 1.5 second drafts. So that'd be 45 steps. So if time wind equals 45, then windy equals false, and time wind equals 0. No, 45, right? 45, and then we want this to be 0, because we're counting down, we're not counting up. So if time wind equals 0, then windy equals false, and time wind equals 45. But what I also want to do is change the x. X plus equals, let's say, 10. Y plus equals probably 3, I guess. I want it to be kind of a big win. Maybe 5. About half. No. Yeah, about half. Alright, so we have our RVX, so our spawn X plus minus RVX. Spawn, and then for Y it would just be 780 will do, which is more than just beyond the edge of the bottom of the screen. So we have that set. We have our speed set for that, and then we tell it to do this, and then windy, which we'll have to create. Windy equals false. So let's see. Windy equals false. So then we run this, so not windy. And we're going this way. Else, if it is windy, then we're going to want to move x plus 10 and y 5, so something like that. Until it's been 1.5 seconds, and then we set it back, and we want to, so now we need to create the check. So we're going to do script execute, because remember, this is going to be placed in our step event, so this is going to behave like a step event, but now I'm going to call to a different script that's going to just give us a % chance back. Or actually, do I want to do that, or do I just want to leave it? I could put it all in one area, I guess. So windy, or let's create true or false. I want to create a variable that holds the value, and if it's a certain value. So what's a chance I want to give it? So chance equals random let's do 1 in 15. No, that's too much, because each step needs to be longer than that. It needs to be like maybe once every like 3 seconds. So let's do 90. Chance equals 90. And then we'll just do this. If floor dot, no, not dot, chance, if we floor chance, and if that equals, let's say 0, let's say 1, floor chance 1. Then what we're going to want to do is create the wind. So we're going to want to set windy to true. Windy equals true. Floor chance equals 1, windy equals true, chance equals random. So that should work. It should be once about every 3 seconds. I'm just trying to convince myself that that's true. Alright, so then spawn x minus rvx, but that needs to change because windy equals true, and because we don't want to actually go do that. Let's set that with actual x values rather than point direction. So let's do x plus equals let's say 3, I guess, when it's not. So it's just when it's a little bit windy. Plus equals, the other way we could have made work, it would have taken too long. Because I want to get the results. Y plus equals, let's go with 10. Because, no, is that how much it changes? I'll go with 8 for now. So, I'm just going to write if not falling. No, this is if not windy. But, you know, I don't even need to write that because it's right here, if not windy. I'm just thinking I wanted to signify which one is which. So this is if it's not windy, and if it is windy, this is what happens. But it kind of already reads like it, so there's no real need for the comment. Why did I name it time wind? Oh, time wind. Oh my god, my brain just completely melted right there. Like, I didn't read it as wind. I read it as wind. And I'm like, whoa. That's... Jeez Louise. Brain should not melt like that. So we want it to be 45 by default too. So we put that in the create. Time wind. Jeez. It's too hot in this apartment. It must be. I can barely breathe. It's breaking my brain. Okay, but we have that now. And we're just going to reuse this entire code. Control C. Oh no, we put it in a script. That's right. So we don't need to. Jeez, that was smart of me. So we're just going to go into our step event. And we're going to do script execute. Let's see. Right? Because everything else is in there. Except for, but we don't need speed anymore. I mean, I could reset that. And maybe I should. You think so? That means it might go slower and faster a little bit too. That would be cool. Random. Let's say 4 plus 8. So that's pretty cool. That'll be cool, I think. And then we have this that we want to copy and paste into this step event of the Snowflake D1. It's just the script execute again of the script get Snowflake movement. Then we want to take the negative one, the one closest to us, and set that script execute for that one. We want to go back into our D2 and get the creation code. Control C. And we never ended up using spawn Y, I don't think. And I'm just going to copy this now because we already wrote everything else in there. So we have the -1, right? And the next one we need is just the D1. So now we have this one. And it should be all set for that anyway, for actually creating it. We don't have it destroy itself. That's important. We need to make sure it destroys itself. So let's do that here. Let's check our X position, or our Y position. If Y is greater than 780, so we can make sure it's off the screen, it's below the actual what the screen's showing, then we want to instance destroy. Okay. So now that we have it destroying itself, we also have it, let's just test it. I think that's it, unless, oh, let's put the object in the room. Object, let it snow, and we did finish this object, correct? Yep. But we also wanted to change this. This is going to be way too many snowflakes because it's going to be doing it too fast. It's going to be doing 1 per step, and that'd be 30 snowflakes per second. So I'm just going to do, if I'm just going to create a step count equals 0, but we're going to actually put that in the create place. So create. Actually, we'll do spawn delay, we'll call it, so it actually reads a little bit better. Control C equals 1. And there's a reason I'm doing that. Because if spawn delay, it's because I'm going to -1 here. Spawn delay negative equals 1. So if spawn delay equals 0, then we want to run the switch. And we want to reset spawn delay. And let's set it at 4. And 4 should be about 5 every half a second, or a little bit, 5 every 20 steps. About. Let's make it a little bit different. Let's do 3 per second. No, I want to do at least 6, so I'll do 5. So this way we'll spawn 6 snowflakes per second, because its steps is 30. So divide by 5 steps is 6 seconds. So we have 6. Well, it's 6 steps. So there's 6 steps where this will run, and one of those will be chosen, and it should be about 2, 2, and 2. We might increase this. Let's do 2.5. Let's do 2.5. That'll be good. I mean, it is snow, so I kind of want it to be a little bit cool like that. Alright, like a little bit like of a blizzard. Now we have this, and I think we should be ready now. Let's see. Oh, don't fail me now. Oh, it failed me. So what did I do wrong? Let's see. Spawn delay equals 0, and we have our break. Let's try putting this right here. Oh, because it's 2.5, it probably is. It's oh, because it's -1, and then it never hits 0 again. So let's just do less than 0. Wait, where did I put that? Alright, I thought I put it in the switch statement. Yay! Oh wow, that's way too much. Oh, that's too much. Uh, uh, that's too much with the angle. That it does not look at all like it's drifting randomly. It doesn't look good. Maybe all of them should drift when it happens. Maybe it should be something that affects every single one of them. But for right now, it's good. Well, wait, why isn't it? Are some of them are going over, right? No, the ones in the which one did I give this one? Sprite, Snowflake, image index 2. Oh, it should be image index 1. What's this one? Image index 0, which is the create. That's that one. Let's see, and that has the depths of 1, so it will be behind it. And that one has 2. Okay. So it should work now. I should be getting the correct one going in front of it. Even though we still need to adjust the ridiculous snow speed. There's some. You can see it going over the fence. It's on this side, the white dots. It's pretty cool. I think something I would add, which I'm not sure I want to. My video's running really long, so I'm not sure I want to do that, or if I want to make an update video, like a part 2 later on, where I go back and redo things, or if this shows you enough where you feel strong enough that you can create your own piece where it works correctly. Let me know in the comments. I still think it turned out pretty cool. You know, in my head it was a little bit different. I think I would make that a little bit taller, or maybe buildings instead of a fence. A building might look cool. And actually, I'm going to do that real quick. It's not going to take that long. And I'm just going to give the building... I'll remove the fence is what I'll do. And I'll put the building... Sprite building. And we'll do 768 for... No, we don't want that. We want... Let's do 400. And let's do 200. It'll look like sort of like a skyscraper. And what we can do, we don't want to get in that much detail. We want to keep the same artistic style where it's just sort of a black background. But we already have black, so it needs to be, let's use yellow. I don't think that's going to look good. So I'll use white instead. Although no, because white you can't see against the snow. We'll use a dark green. It's okay. Center it. Actually, you know what I want to do? Let's set that to 400. And that way, when I do this, object building, and I set it to my sprite building, it'll create it from the bottom. So when I create the X and Y, all I have to do is X equals room width divided by 2. And then for Y, I don't have to worry about negating a number or anything. I just do room height, and it'll place it right there on the bottom. And we have 0. Okay. So we want to remove this, and we want to add the building. And now we should be able to see the sprites when they go over a little bit better. Like that one. I think the fence looked a lot better. I should have used gray for the building color. Alright, cool. Hope that helped. Have a good one.